Morning team, morning crew, how are we? Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Good to see a few of you guys on already this morning. Hope you're well wherever you are. A bit rainy, a bit miserable here today. I don't know if this works. Check this out. Hang on. Is it that one? This one? Oh, there you go. She's a bit rainy out there today. Not too great. Anyway, I had a wet commute to my office this morning. Hope you're all awesome. Hey, good morning, Luke. Trina, how are you, babe? Good to see you. Belinda, Sharon, Brett. Yes, WTF. Well, let's dive into the facts today on that stuff. Alison, Patricia. Hey, great to see Lee, all the way from Tasmania. Great to see you. Awesome to have all of you guys on this morning, joining me for another little cheeky wealth coffee chat. Fabulous Friday, fantastic Friday, something like that, I'm sure. If you don't already know, there's my name there. Wealth Coffee Chats, we've been doing this for a while. It is a podcast too, each day. Hello to the podcast listeners. Great to have you here as well. Each day, this little Facebook Live gets turned into a podcast. It gets put on iTunes, Spotify. I'm sure it's other places too. So if you get stuck, if you ever really need to catch up on it, maybe podcast are the way to go. Yeah. Yep, the Queen passed away today. Quite sad for a lot of people. R.I.P. indeed. Indeed. James, morning to you, mate. Morning to you. Good to see you. But hey, listen, as we all know, the big wheel keeps on turning in this crazy thing we called life. And, this little strange but interesting thing we've all chosen to participate in, which is investing, and particularly investing in real estate. It's quite an interesting place to hang out. Well, wherever you are, I'm sure something's going on. Hey, morning, Ashley, the Passionate Property People. Indeed. Thanks for joining us. Darren, Andrew, good to see you, James. But yeah, listen, interesting times out there in the world of property investing, and we've got some interesting headlines going on. Toowoomba. No, it's not sunny. Paul, it's not sunny. It's miserable here. It's bloody been raining all morning. It's a bit average, but anyway, there you go. Good for the grass, good for the ducks, good for the fish, or whatever they say. Away you go. And there it is. Kevin from Florida, mate. Great to have you on, as always. Listen, this is a little bit a carry-on malarkey. This is bullshit, basically. But it's been getting a lot of airtime of recent times. And unfortunately, a few people have been believing that this is actually possible. One of the things that I'm always very passionate about, folks, is that we, as property investors, don't get caught up in the fear and ignorance that the media try to peddle. Their job is to get our attention in any way they can. Unfortunately, these days, they have very low morals in the way they do it, the way they write their articles, barely factual, or, intentionally vague. Anyway, so this has been bandied around for a while. This bloke still lives at home with his mum, doesn't even own a house, accidentally got into politics, and, here we go. I'm going to show you some stuff in a minute. Anyway, I don't know anything about this guy, so I'm just giving some cheek. Anyway, I don't know anything about his personal character, so there's no aspersions here. However, the idea of a 2-year rent freeze is ludicrous, and the sitting government agrees. All right, so for many of us as property investors, we've got to be careful not to get caught up in, the rhetoric, the fear and ignorance, the silliness of this political grandstanding. What's happening right now is someone in the world of politics says, hey, listen, you know what would be great to be recognized for and seen for, so we can get re-elected next time and show that our, show our electorate that we can go and get some votes for the next time. Yeah, the bullshit of government, indeed, Brett. Unfortunately, we need them to do certain jobs. Anyway, this is grandstanding. It's bullshit. It's not going to happen. What I want to do today is check in on some of the facts for you and me as property investors of how often can we increase our rents. Now, sometimes that changes, but, right now, thankfully, we have some sensible people who consult all parties affected in the world of property, and they make some good decisions. Mostly, the Real Estate Institutes of Australia are our mediators for tenants and landlords, and work with the government and the banks and all that sort of stuff. So I'm a big fan of making sure that there are standards for landlords. What drives me crazy is people who don't look after their properties that they rent. Slumlords, I think that's despicable. If you're going to be a landlord and you're going to create wealth from real estate, you should look after it, because the people who rent your property are helping you create wealth, right? So that drives me a little bit cranky, to be honest, and gives sometimes the best of us, a little bit of a bad name or a tarred brush or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, let's move on with today's discussion. Let's check in. This 2-year ban, bullshit. The government's not going to support it. It's just political grandstanding to get recognised or get seen or whatever they're trying to do. Let's check in on the facts, folks, of some rules and bits and pieces. Before we check in on the facts, I want to show you something. I want to say, all right, other than, common sense, common sense winning out, tell me another reason why the rest of the government, and I'm going to show you something in a minute, tell me another reason why the rest of the government wouldn't support a 2-year ban on a rent freeze. And this is kind of like a self-interested reason. Maybe put it in the chat. What do you guys think? Tell me. What do you guys think of why the majority of the government, especially Labor and Liberal, let's just say that, especially Labor, why wouldn't they support something like this? What? Put it in the chat. I'm trying to not give away the answer. I don't know if any of you guys know. Because, hey, here's an interesting fact while you're having a think and maybe putting something in the chat for me. Most of them own another property. Yeah, dead right, Andrew. It'd harm them. Do you know what? You know how you can have a second property capital gains tax free? Hey, morning, David. Good to see you, Darren, because they own an investment property. That's right, they're property investors too, right? Yeah, this is really interesting. I'm going to show you something in a second. You know how many properties politicians can have capital gains tax free? They can have 2. They can have 2 properties, one where they live and one in Canberra, capital gains tax free. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this. Check this out. This is pretty interesting. I saw this article the other day. This was gathered from the self-declared data that the politicians release. Okay, and in 2021. There were 510 properties owned by 227 members of federal parliament. Check that out. That's 2.5 properties per MP, folks. 2.25. So it is pretty interesting. I think there's an interesting one over here as we go. So they're all property investors themselves. Many of them. Okay. Many politicians own. There were 84 that owned 3 or more investment properties, which was quite interesting as well. Many own a second home in Canberra. Why do they own a second home in Canberra? Because it's tax-free. Why wouldn't you? If you're a politician, do the do, and away you go. Check this out, right? The Coalition, on average, 2.4 properties. Labor, 2.1. The minor parties, 2.3. The minor parties, 2.1. And the Greens, on average, 1.3. So there you go. So why would the Greens be saying that? Because it's not hurting themselves, so they don't give a rat's ass about hurting anyone else. They don't want to be inclusive of the whole community in this respect, let's say. There you go. I don't know, Adrian. I think I'd be a maniac, but we might end up with some other weird rules as well. But thanks for your vote of confidence, mate. The politicians, 1% club. Indeed, Luke. Indeed. Well, look at this. Look, here's a list of the landlords. Some of them own 5 properties, 6 properties. You know, this is pretty good. Look, 6 properties, 6 properties, 6 properties, 6, 6, 5, 5. Good on them. Good on them. Hey, I don't have any ill will towards someone who gets on with it and makes it. Yeah, rock climbing Fridays. I like that. Who makes a fist of where they're at and what they're doing. And you know, let's face it, folks. We vote many of these clowns into power. So, you know, sometimes we end up with a bunch of maniacs that we weren't paying attention. Anyway, there you go. But listen, what are the rules? What are the rules right now for you as a property investor? And what are the rules right now for us in the world of, let me get, which one am I doing here? This one here, I think. What's the rules right now? How often can we increase our rent? And this is at July 30, 2022. So these are the most recent updated rules, folks. And tell me, right now, what's the most common minimum time frame you can increase your rent? Pretty well across the board in Australia. There's already rules in place, by the way. So, you know, it's not the Wild West where, greedy landlords are kicking people out and forcing people to pay more rent because, blah, blah, blah. Trina's saying 12 months. Yeah, most of the legislation right now, folks, is between 6 and 12 months, all right? Across the board, across all of the states, okay? So let's have a look at this, yeah? 12 months average, right? So let's have a little look. Different states have different rules, all right? New South Wales, right? Depending on the agreement, you can only increase your rent every 12 months. Yep, your landlord must provide 60 days notice. Now that's pretty good, right? You know, why would you want to freeze it for 2 years, which is bullshit? You know, there's already protections in place, right? Depending on the type of tenancy you have, you know, down in Victoria, it's 12 months, all right? There you go. But if your agreement states blah, 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 it can, between 6 and 12 months. What about Queensland? You know, unless it's some sort of fixed term agreement up front, you know, at the moment, it's 6 months and 60 days notice, right? Western Australia, your rent can't be increased in the fixed term, but it can be every 6 months. There you go. Okay. Interesting. South Australia, you know, again, your rent can be increased every 6 months. I have heard on the grapevine that South Australia is looking to increase that to 12 months. But there you go, right? Now, these are the rules. Like, this is the law in place right now, right? So this is like a little reminder for you and me for when we see this, you know, media mayhem and, you know, bloody politicians trying to get the limelight and some attention, you know, hijacking, you know, what's going on. This is basically just hijacking. They're just hijacking on something that's important right now. And to be honest, they were never going to be able to get up and do anything. Why don't they go and do something properly about it? Why don't they go and lobby government to, unlock the ability for development and bringing more stock to market? Why don't they do that? They're wasting their bloody time. Like, they're there to do things that they can impact on, not grandstand to get attention. Anyway, there we go. I better get off my little high horse. Oh, there we go. Back here to my screenshot. Yeah. Yeah, and you can only dictate it to the way the market dictates as well, Alison. They think, you know, the world's going to end. The rents are going to go up forever. Listen, the rents will go up because we as property investors haven't passed on rent increases for over 10 years because the interest rates have gone down. Gee, they've got a short memory about things, haven't they? Eh? You know, there's been hardly any rent growth in comparison to inflation for 10 years. And the moment we put the rent up, you know, a few dollars because the interest rates have gone up, everyone's crying poor, right? Anyway, I do appreciate that some people have tough financial circumstances. I get that. But that doesn't mean because I've got money and you don't, that I have to now suffer because your financial situation is, you know, unsustainable. Anyway, there you go. Anyway, I've been poor, I've been rich. You know, both of them have their pros and cons. That is for sure, folks, I can tell you. Anyway, I'm off track. Let's stay on track, Jason. Concentrate. Listen, South Australia, again, like I said, 12 months. Tassie, your rent can only go up at the least states it will be up front, and your landlord needs to provide you 60 days notice. In most cases, rents can't be raised during a tenancy agreement. There you go. You can't even sort of raise it every 6 months. In Tassie, you know, you have to sort of write it into the agreement right up front. And then Northern Territory, looks like it's about 6 months. The ACT, you know, there's a little bit more technical, 12 months with a 10% consumer price index, blah, 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 blah. So there you go. There you go. You know, is this 2-year rent freeze thing real? No, it's rubbish. There's already very good laws in place in the Australian system that protect you as the owner and protect you as a renter. All right, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Listen, you know, at the end of the day, we're all in this together, aren't we? All right, we're all in this together. The tenant, you know, the landlord. And we all have to have, you know, a bit of a fair outcome compared to our risk. And I think, by and large, most landlords do a damn fine job of taking care of their properties, and most tenants do a damn fine job of taking care of the properties as well. So, you know, at the end of the day, be reasonable. You're not a charity. And, you know, take care of the costs so you can take care of the property and someone's got a nice place to live. That's my advice. Anyway, there you go. There you go. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted for today. Hopefully that dispels any concern or issues out there when it comes to this rent rubbish. And for you as a property investor, keep your eye on the prize, folks. Keep your eye on the prize. You know, politicians always carry on like pork chops. But, you know, will it work? No. Why? Because number one, mostly they'd be hurting themselves, the majority of them. And then second, it doesn't make any sense anyway. All right. It'd end up passing on problems and issues to, you know, the rest of the marketplace anyway. There you go. Done. Yeah, that's right, Brett. You know, we take, as investors, we take a risk investing in a piece of real estate. You know, we deserve a reward for that, for the risk we take. And we do provide, you know, shelter and housing to the market, which the government will never be able to do. So, you know, I think that's a you know, a noble cause, to be honest. All right, folks, that's me. I'm done. I'm dusted. Wealth Coffee Chats over and out. Hope you're well. Join me next week for another one on Monday. We're going to kick off and start again. All right, folks, you be awesome. Be well. Have an awesome weekend. Yep. Indeed. Bye for now.